Automation. Okay, this means automatic activities or automatic actions, right? So how will you do that in Salesforce, and why do we need it to do in Salesforce? Because we cover the why session on why part on these sessions. Why is very important for us to understand and discuss. Why is because you want to make many things automatic so that users does not need to do things manually. What is the benefit of doing that? The benefit is that lesser errors. You can set a lot of rules driven stuff, and you can minimize the labor, right? Less labor. So your agents are happy and they are not putting bad data, and they are basically rules driven means they know that the mistakes is going down very significantly. So it is very important for any tool or any software to have automations enabled. Salesforce by default gives a lot of features for automations, and those are codeless. That means you don't have to learn any languages or coding to do that. And that is the biggest strength of Salesforce. And these frameworks you have to know as an admin, because you will be doing a lot of these automations without writing a single line of code. What do I use to do this kind of automations? We'll talk about first three options. There is another automation unit which will also cover. The first is called workflow, which is the very basic and the oldest automation process through which we can write some logic. No code again. Workflows are very great things. And but it was limited. What could you do in the workflows? You can create a task. You can do a field update. Field update you can do not on all fields. You can do field update on a record which is getting changed or created. Okay. Workflow fires when a record is getting created or a record is getting edited. In this option, you can create a task, create a field update. That means you automatically change a value of a field, do some calculations on that field and update it. What you can do is you can create is you can send emails. We call this notifications. Same thing, notification. Email notification is basically sending emails. You can send emails, and you can also do outbound messages. Outbound messages means you can send some data from Salesforce to any other system like SAP, like ERP systems, like any software you know on earth. Yeah. So if they want to get some data, you can use outbound messages. Now workflow is getting deprecated. Salesforce has said that it will no longer support workflows. Should I study workflow right now? What do you think, Manish? Is it make sense to study workflows then?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Because this is the starting point. So if we start from the scratch, so it will be easier to understand the higher tools which is available.
Not only that, it's a good point, Manish, that we should know about workflows. The second part is that workflow, though will not be supported by Salesforce, you can there would be many or well, like projects which you will be getting inside where the workflows will be there. Okay, workflow
Right.
will be gradually deleted and converted to the more recent things. We'll discuss that again. But till that period, you need to understand the logic, what has been done on the workflow, right? Without understanding the workflow, you cannot transfer that, isn't it? So
Correct.
it is very important that we know about these products, but we do not do a new development on these products. Okay. So no workflows. Don't create a new workflow, but we'll tell you how to create a workflow to understand the workflow so that you can look at a workflow and understand what that is doing. Okay. So it is essential for you to learn about it.
The field update you said that is on the current object field update only, right? Let's say if I'm doing the workflow on account, so whatever field is there in account, that only can be updated, not the related fields. Is it like that?
It can be updated on a master detail parent also. Any fields of the master detail parent.
Master detail.
Okay. The field which is firing the workflow, that field, any field you on that object you can change, or anything on a master detail parent of that record. Okay. Like if you write a workflow now on your object called film actor, you can change any value or any field of
In film or actor.
film or actor object. Okay. That you can do because those are master detail.
And there is no limitation, like only I can update the normal fields, or any, like any kind of fields can be updated.
Most of the fields are supported. Yes.
Okay.
Workflow is very limited. I will say you so will run into many limitations as we speak. But yeah, I will explain some more differences. So this is workflows, basic 4 activities which you can do. Once you create these tasks, field update, emails, or outbound messages, you can reuse these actions. We call these actions. Action 1. So you can reuse an action in another workflow also. Yeah. So like if you send a mail, once you create a send mail action, that can be reused in another workflow. Okay. Okay. Now, the upgraded version of workflow was process builders or processes. Processes usually have many all these things, plus it can create records, it can update any other records, does not need to be master detail parent, any other related records, plus it can even fire a code. If you have written some logic and code, you can even fire that from process builder. So process builder was almost workflow advanced or a workflow professional or something. All the limitations of workflows were all solved in process builders. But Salesforce has decided to deprecate process builders also. It was very easy to do. We'll see that how to create a process builder. Just again to learn, because both workflows and process builders will now be replaced with flows. Okay. This is the name of the art, and we will focus mostly on flows from today and our next classes. And for this assignment also, you will find that you have to do some flows. Okay. I will not tell you where, but you have to. So figure it out. So the flows solves whatever workflows can do, process builders can do, and many more. What flows and process build for flows, like workflows and process builders only fires after a record is saved or created. Flows can fire before a record is created or edited, and after a record is created or edited. So it supports both after and before. These are always after, but this is before and after, both supported. Okay. Second, you can have UI. That means you can have write screens. You can create screens. There are 5 types of flows which you can create. So if you need some user inputs, you can also do that. You can schedule that it is automatically runs at a specific intervals at night or any time. So almost all the features of programming is now available in flows. So this is a very powerful tool which you have to learn in and out. And if you can do anything using flows, you have to do it using flows. And only if you are not able to do it in flows, then only you have to write code or go to programming. And it is very, flows is so powerful, there is hardly much you will need to, you will find that you cannot do in flows. Okay. Second, you can also like fire code from here in from flows. And yeah, and everything, they are adding more and more features every time. Okay. So flows is the most important. We might have a separate session on flows if you need, but today we'll try to cover all these 3. There is another automation which we call, that is called approval process. and we'll try to see that also if we can cover it today. Okay. Let's open Salesforce now. As usual, everything you can devise now using the setup. Object manager we covered already, right? In object manager we have seen most of these things. Have you created button, links, or actions?
Yeah, I created like
Yes.
I was doing
Yeah.
the training with you.
So we'll see some button, links, and actions today. We'll see a little bit of record pages today. We'll see compact layout where to use it. We'll also talk about record types and stuff. Record types did we cover already? Page layout and record types we covered, right? Okay, we'll discuss it once again. If you're not able
Record
to.
type, yeah, I think record type, no. I mean, I
This is automation process. Okay, so you see everything. Process automation, under process automation, you will see everything. You talk about flows. We talked about process builders. We talked about workflow rules. We talked about approval processes. This four, and you see there is. We have also got a migrate to flow. That means if you have an old workflow rule or you have a process builder, you can migrate automatically to a flow. Salesforce has given this tool, right? But it's in beta. It will come. Let's see how we can automate some things. What are we trying to automate? Let's see what we can automate. You see, whenever you try to create a new workflow rule, Salesforce will say, do not use workflow rules. Go to flow builder. Yeah, so we'll go to flow builders. But before that, we'll continue using workflow so that we understand what we are trying to do. When an account is getting created, I want to make sure what can we do. So let's say account created. Three options in which this this workflow can fire. What is when the account is only created? You can also fire this when the account is created or every time the save button is clicked. That is every time it is edited. You can also fire this when it is created or anytime it is edited to meet a criteria. That means if I say active is equal to true, only then fire. That means it will not fire once you have marked approval process as active. So first time you are marking the account as active, it will fire. After that, it will stop firing because it is not changing. This time you are not editing to subsequently meet criteria. That means you are not meeting the changing to meet a criteria. You have already changed it. So next time onward, it will be a one-time fire, right? For this criteria. Okay. So if you want to once fire only once, then use this option. Otherwise, if you want to fire always, then use this option. If you want to fire only for creation, use this option. Clear? Any confusion? Let me know.
So third option is created and what was that? I can't read. It's very small.
Created and anytime it is edited to subsequently meet criteria. That means whenever you are changing the value of this field to exactly match this one, then only it will fire. And it will only fire once. That means like active was false and you change it to yes. In that case, it will fire. The next time you hit the same button, active is already yes, right? So you're not making any changes to active. That's why it will not fire. But if you make this again false, then it will not fire because it is not meeting the criteria. But if you change once again from active to yes, then it will again fire. Because this time you have made changes which is meeting the criteria. Are you getting the point?
Yeah, understood.
Anybody confused? Let me know. I will tell you once again. Very easy. So let's see what are the different types possible. If I'm using this option, created and anytime it is edited, because this is the most complicated to understand. So think about this is created flow, and this is created and plus always edit, right? And this is created and last one created plus subsequently edit, right? Last option. How will this work? If active, what are the possible combinations? Let's have this is on the top. So active is blank, created will not fire. Active is yes, created will fire. Active created will fire. Active is no, created will not fire. I will ask put it no. Any confusion on this one? Created criteria matches, it will fire. Criteria does not match, it will not fire. Active is just a pick list value, that's why it can have blank also. Okay. You can choose any of the fields here. If created and always edit and we have a criteria, then it is blank, it will not fire. Yes, it will fire. No, it will not fire. And if it is like every time you will you have the edit like every time you hit the save button, it will keep on firing always. Yeah. So this is the second time. Let's have a dependency like I will reverse this. Let's have an order. So in the yes, this is the first time I have fired it and saved it. After this, I edit it once again and I edit it to no. Then I edit it to yes. Then I just edit it to normal yes. Okay. These are 4 steps. Okay. Let's see. Step 1, step 2, step 3. So create and subsequently edit matching criteria, it will fire. Criteria is not matching, it will not fire. Now you change this to no, so nothing will fire, right? Criteria is not matching. Now it is made as yes. Created, we are saving the existing record. So this, if there's a created flow, this will not fire, right? Because we are editing these fields. These are for editings, right? If you are editing these fields, then it is not firing because this flow was only supposed to fire in created mode. So this will not fire. But if it is you have used this one, then it will fire. If you have used this, it will fire or not?
Yeah, it will fire.
Why?
Because previously it was yes, but now I have changed it to no again yes.
That's correct. Absolutely, it will fire. Now tell me what about this? Create will fire or not?
No.
It will not fire, right? Because again we are editing it, right? These are all edits. Edit edit, edit. Same record I'm editing, right? Edit. What will happen? It will fire or not?
Yeah,
No.
fire.
It will fire. What will happen here?
No.
It will not fire because the criteria is already met last time. I'm not making any changes uh, which is which is now again meeting the criteria, right?
Yes.
Very important to understand this. Okay. So I will keep it on created, or I will keep it on created and edited. Let's take the most complicated ones, and I will do what I will do. I will create a task. Okay. What kind of task? I will assign it to myself. I will say what kind of task? Like I will give you a call. Give call. And due day is created date plus 3 days. After 3 days, I will have a task for myself that I will give a call to this person, to this account. Okay. This is what I am asking. Second, I will also write an email alert. For creating an email alert, you must have an email template. So first, create an email template. I will use a classic email template. You can also use a Lightning email template. Classic email is easy. You can have a text version and an HTML version. I will use a text version. Unified. Available for use tick is important. You say account created. And subject line will say a new account is created as email body can be the same. Oh, sorry. As I want actual the account name to come up here. But for every account, it will be different, right? How do I get that? So I will go and change this to account fields. And I will say I want to show the name field. It will give me a merge text. This field, if I put it here, it will Salesforce will automatically replace this with the actual account name. And owned by you. Yeah. Any question confusion on this?
No.
Let's save it. Once we save it, and now it is easy for us to go and check in the workflow rules what we can do. I will go back to that workflow rule itself. I have not activated it. I will now go and edit it and I will add another action called email alert. This time I will use that. We can use the same account created. This time I am using the email is account created email template. And whom I want to send this, I want to send to individual users. I can select it here. I can have many options. Account owner is the best one, right? Let me send it to the account owner. Who is account owner? Account owner is the person who is basically creating the record. Or you can also leave it there. Okay. So you can basically assign this or send this mail to many people. You individual users, different roles and like what are these things? We'll go and discuss this later. That is it. What can you do? New field update. Let's see what can we update it. Let's update the description. And we say use a formula field. What do I put it here? I will put a quote and I will say that, or you can use directly the formula editor also. Here formula text is equal to, you see, check syntax. So you will say that account is now created. I want to put this value inside the description field of that account automatically. Yeah, this is field update. It is always a good practice to do check syntax and save it. So 3 actions we have already created. I will not talk about outbound message, but just to show you what can happen is that once the account is created, you can send the values of the fields outside of Salesforce. So you can like send it to google.com. Has to be a soap service. People who already know and understand and which credentials you will use it. Will you send the session ID or not? You can send it across. Okay. Whatever field names and things you want to send it across. So this payload, you can do it. Advanced topics, will not discuss this today. And it is outbound message is a powerful tool to send data outside of Salesforce. Okay. But that has to adhere to the schema structure of Salesforce. I will discuss this in advanced class. Anybody like Shubham, Divesh, or Sandeep, you want to discuss this? We can have a separate class. Or anybody else on this class itself who want to discuss this advanced topic, we can discuss it if you want. Okay. But for your admin certification, this is not required. So I am not going to spend time on that.
Good.
Okay. So let's go to account created. So we have done 3 different actions. Left over the outbound message because that is not related. And second, you need a actual service to be active in order to send the message. Now here I activated it. So the active is now ticked. Now let's start testing it. Test workflow what? Will this fire the workflow or not?
What is the condition? Is it active now? Active field is none.
Will this fire or not?
No, it will not fire. Active is none.
Anybody else who disagrees?
Yep, it will not fire because
Anybody who disagrees? Anybody is there who says that this is fire?
Can we see once time that workflow rule?
Let's look at the workflow rule once again.
Yes. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
No, it will fire only on active.
The
Yes.
rule criteria is active equals to yes. Here,
Then after it
nothing
will
is
fire.
selected here, right?
Yes.
Let's save it. There we have to put annual revenues. This was made at. How do I know that it did not fire? Not no activity is showing up here. I don't get a mail. I didn't get a mail. I don't get a notification. In the details section, in the description, nothing is showing up, right? Now let's edit it. I can recreate it also, but it will. Let's see the edit flow first. Okay. Now create flow. So test workflow 2. I make it no now. Will it fire?
No.
It will not fire. What if I'd make it yes now? It fired because now you can see there is an activity which is called give a call in 13 June. Today is 10 June. 3 days after that, I have added. In the detail section, description is filled up. Account is now created. And if I go and check my mailbox, I see. Oh, sorry about it. I don't think I am the owner, is it? Silver is there. I think it is going to account. Let's see where the mail is going to. Yeah, it was not verified. That's why it did not send me the mail. That's fine. So now we have seen that all things has fired across. Okay, let's test it once again. And let's now edit this flow. Yes, this can I do if I edit this flow now and just hit the save button? Will the flow fire or not?
No, it will not fire because it will select. It has selected the third option, simplified.
Anybody else disagrees, or anybody does not able to understand why it will not fire?
Because criteria is already matched before.
Question to everybody. Later, if you come to me and you say I did not understand this all, I will be very disappointed. So if you're not understanding, please raise it right away on the session. There is no shame in not understanding. But staying silent even after not understanding is very shameful. We don't want that in class. Okay. So if you're not understanding anything, any problem, raise it immediately. This will not fire because I'm not making any changes to this active field, right? It is yes, and it was yes, and the criteria we chose is that only if I make it to yes, then only it will fire. So when I do a save, nothing happens. No mails, nothing. Okay. Now, if I make this again, I will go and make it no. Will it fire or not?
No.
No, fire, not fire. I will again now change this to yes. Will it fire or not?
Yeah, it will fire.
No, it will not fire because.
It will fire,
Oh yes, yes, yes. Yeah, the criteria again match. So
right?
this is the
This time
yes,
I
yes,
am making changes to match the criteria. That's why it will
yes.
fire. And that's the reason. Where is the mail going? Just give me 1 second. Let's see what is happening to the mail. I thought I verified the mail. Continue this email address, account owner. Let me see what is happening out. Emails are not going out from this end. Okay, I will look into that. So we are having 3 automations which is going out from this workflow. Now we'll see how the workflow is looking like. Can we do something else using process builder? Let's see. Because what is limitation is that, can you mention one limitation? What in a workflow we found out right now?
We cannot fire before means before update or created.
That's correct. This is all firing after the record is saved. That's correct. But what is the
Update
major
fields.
limitation you will see here? Any
we
major
can't
limitation?
create fields, sir.
Yeah.
Update fields.
We can't create fields.
You cannot create fields.
Hmm.
Create fields is done manually in setup. There is no way you can automate creation of fields.
Create records.
Create records, exactly. Let's try to create a automatic record now. Because that you cannot do in a, again, when you open Process Builder, it will ask you to use Flow Builder, right? But let's ignore Salesforce and we say account created, or I will say auto contact. Here, it can fire in many situations, but I will make it fire on a record saving. So record change. Which object are we using? Again, the same account object. It can again fire in only these two conditions, right? Only when a record is created or edited. Okay. So let's fire this on record created. Or you can meet a criteria also if you want. Okay. So let's do it only for creation mode. And what we will create this time, we will have add a criteria. Again, criteria is account must be active. Same thing. Just like what we did in workflow. You can say no criteria needed. Formula evaluates to true. You can do a formula based evaluation or conditions also. So let's do the conditions active. Use equals pick list. Yes. You can have multiple conditions. You can say it will be related as and any conditions, or you can do a or operation, or you can customize logic. Customize logic means you can have and or both. So let's have the default one. So this is the first condition. Account, on account creation, it will fire. It will check if the account is active. Then we have the actions here. What is the action? You see, now create a record, I can get it. So let's take that. And what is contact create? What is the record I am trying to create? It is a contact record. Let's select it. Last name is a mandatory field of contact. So that's why you have to fill it up. Let me fill it up with a with not only a hard coded value. Let us fill it up with a field reference. What does it mean? That means the value of a field. I will fill it up with name field. The account's name will go into that field reference. Okay. On first name, I will put a hard coded value of auto. It is automatic. Now contact is created, but we have not related this with this account, right? We have to relate it also. So account ID. Account ID needs to be a field reference again of what? The ID field. Clear? Any confusion here? So I'm creating new contact with first name, last name, and account ID. Let's make this a little complicated. Let's make it a formula field now so that I can put two things. One is I am trying to put the name field, and then you see in text fields you have many things to do. There are many things you can do. So you can use formulas here, but it's easiest is that I will put a contact with it or hyphen contact. On the account name, hyphen contact. I will use this formula. Correct. And I will activate it. It is very important that workflow rules and process builders and flows all needs to be activated. Otherwise, it will not function. Please don't forget to activate it. Validation rule is automatically activated when you are creating it. but these automations are never activate on or by default. Okay, let's try it out once again. Test this time process builder. Active needs to be yes, and record creation should be fire. So annual revenue, you see this validation rule is firing first always. What has happened now? Your workflow rule has taken charge, so it is working. Even apart from that, you have also seen the this is working also. You see, the contact also got created. What is this contact? In contact, we created the first name that was auto hard coded, and the last name was a combination of account name hyphen contact. Got it? So automatic records are getting created using process builders. Any questions so far?
But
Great.
one thing on which, like, what is the order? Like, order of execution? Is it like first is the validation rule we understood? Now, is it like first is executing workflow, or the like it is executing process flow?
There is a whole chapter dedicated to only order of execution. I would suggest you to wait for a while. There are so many automation stuff to complete before you understand the order of executions.
Okay.
But if you are interested, you can of course go for order of execution in Salesforce, and there's a huge chapter only dedicated to that. You'll go with this. I think go with this one. This is the original order of executions, which is from Salesforce. So this is the step-by-step firing.
Okay.
So there is a lot of things we have not discussed. So far workflow rules, you will see. This is the 11th step on which workflow fires. And then processes are firing on 13 steps. So first workflow fires, and then your processes will fire.
Okay.
Okay. But there are so many things happening before and after. So we'll discuss this.
No. No.
Okay. So now let's go to how can we do these things in a flow? Can we do these things in flow? Of course we can, because flows is the most powerful one. So let's see how we can do this all in flow. Are you exhausted by now, or do you want to handle flow as a separate chapter, a separate session? Let me know.
No, I think flow. It's better to do it in a separately because
Separate session. Okay, that's fine. I want you guys to like keep a like do some work on and like have your hands dirty with whatever we showed today. Try to replicate that. Work with workflow rules, work with process builders. Yeah, very easy automation tools. It should be very easy for you to understand. Have some knowledge base, and then we'll let into workflow, because it is a little more complicated and a little more sophisticated. So that is the reason why it is so powerful, and it is the choice of automation right now. Okay, so let's capture flows. We'll dedicate flows in the next session. But I want positively everybody to finish the assignment by next class. No misses, please. All good? Have a nice weekend then, guys. I will
Yeah.
stop recording and upload this session whenever I get